Well, hello.
Hello there.
What's up, everybody? Kicking this off. Get it shared out on the interwebs.
Yep.
Give people a few minutes to pop in. Go from there.
All right. I think I did it. All right. So I just want to make sure I did this right. I think. Can I click on it? Is it right?
Don't know, baby.
Well, hello.
Yes, it does. There we are. I do not like to listen to myself. Okay. So I got to go with this. Fire's really hot. With my mom this weekend. So we went and did a shopping day yesterday. And then we spent the night at the Marriott downtown and then came back around, I don't know, noon today. And it was great. And it's we did some Christmas shopping and hung out together and spent some time. It was a lot of fun connecting.
Not with the kids.
Yes, it was just my mom and me. Usually, so every Christmas, so sometime in November or December, we always go on a trip and we do Christmas shopping.
You and your mom.
Yeah, sorry, my mom and me. And stay in a hotel, and it's such a great memory. We've been doing that for 15 years, maybe longer. A long time. And it's such a sweet thing that she does for me and that we get to do together. We're delaying our trip until February for a few reasons, so instead, we just decided to do a one-day shopping trip in Omaha and then spend the night downtown. Super fun. Stayed at a great place. Nathan had all the kids, which he's great with, and I'm super thankful for. This is the first time that I've been away from Lincoln, and he's almost 10 months old. This child is, I don't even know how to describe it.
He's a special one.
He's special. This kid will not take a bottle. He will not. I mean, there's been times where he's let it be in his mouth and the milk kind of like slips down his throat. He will not take a bottle. And the entire time that I was gone, which was a little bit more than 24 hours, he wouldn't take a bottle. No. He just refused it the whole time. So Nathan had to he fed him food. Of course he got fed him food and would take milk and mix it with like baby oatmeal and spoon it into his mouth. The kid refuses bottles and I don't know what to do with him. I don't know what to do with him. It's so frustrating. So he went like 24-ish hours, no bottles, no nursing.
Not zero interest in a bottle.
He just refuses. But if you take milk and you spoon it into his mouth, he'll take it.
It's not that he doesn't like the milk, it's that he doesn't like the bottle.
Oh my gosh, this child. I don't know. I have tried all the tips, I think, but if you have tips that you think I should try, let me know, because he is difficult. And we've been trying, I've been trying for months to try to get him to take a bottle. And I thought for sure the first time that I go away, he'll get tired enough of not having milk that he'll take it.
Yeah. The tips on getting a baby to take a bottle, those need to go in the comments immediately.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this child is nuts.
So how was your trip? You feel like it was
very fun.
Accomplished what you wanted to accomplish?
Oh yeah, it was great.
It's good.
Yep, it was very fun.
It's great.
And then in February we'll take our actual trip.
Yeah.
We'll go to Florida.
Should be great.
My mom and me.
It'll be way longer than 24 hours that Lincoln won't be taking a bottle.
Yeah. I got my first full night of sleep in 10 months. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's also a thing that's not good.
Yes, right. Yeah. But I got to sleep the whole night through.
It's great. Awesome. Well, this is our Sunday Hangout. We probably didn't do the introductions at the beginning, so we can do them now. I'm Nathan.
I'm Andrea.
And this is the Sunday Hangout on Marriage by Design channel. This is a channel that we have here on Facebook and on YouTube and on everywhere podcasts are picked up, where we talk about God's design for marriage and God's design for the family and how we can practically live that out in our lives. So this is the show we do once a week on Sunday nights, where we talk about the shows that went live last week on Monday and Friday. Marriage Monday always comes out on Monday, Family Friday on Fridays. So we talk about those two shows. This last week on Monday, we did a show finishing up our series with Tim and Carla Ragland, who are our mentors for our marriage. We did a series of shows with them on what marriage mentoring is all about, how that can be beneficial for your marriage, what that looks like, how to be a good mentor, all those kinds of good things. And then on Friday, we came out with a show where it was kind of a couple things. We talked about the history of Thanksgiving in America, since Thanksgiving was just on Thursday. And then we also talked about materialism in particularly around this time of year, but all times really, and how we combat that as a family. Because, man, that can be a huge temptation, right? To fall into that wanting stuff all the time. So those were the two shows that we did this week. So we're going to go back and kind of just recap a few of the highlights of those shows now. And then we'll talk a little bit about the shows that are coming up next week.
Yeah, so Monday was our last episode with Tim and Carla, and we talked about how to be a good mentor. So kind of the other side of the topic is what we talked about, being a mentor. And the biggest takeaway for me from that is just always being in a place of, I don't got this, because of really relying on the Lord for his wisdom and knowledge, for his outpouring of what to say, and not doing it in our own strength. So really just always being in a reliant on the Lord stage with mentoring. It doesn't matter how much you mentor or how little you mentor or the situations that you come in contact with, if we can just stay in that space of, I just always need to rely on God, because every person is different, every marriage is different, and the Lord knows them better than we ever will. And so I just need to rely on God to speak through me and to give me the wisdom in what to do and what to say and all that.
Yeah, that's right.
It's great. So we talked about that. We talked about listening more than talking.
Yeah.
And, that can be really difficult for some people, especially if there's blank space, if there's quietness, being okay with some of that. And maybe some of that is just processing. We've had some time with some couples that we've mentored where it's quiet. It's on, you get that awkward silence. And it's not because, for us, it's not because we don't know what to say. I mean, we could say a million things, but I think sometimes quiet is okay, to have time for processing of what's going on and information and a quiet heart, maybe before the Lord.
Particularly if you're with people and you feel like maybe there's things that are being hidden that need to come out, either like specific issues that need to come out or emotions that need to come out, to be comfortable as the mentor couple with just, the hanging pause, right? With being comfortable with just letting that silence sit out there, because silence chases into the light.
It's like they just talk themselves into saying truth.
Right. You can't, it's amazing to me how many couples where we'll talk to them and just let it be quiet, and then someone will go, you know what, I feel like I really need to say this, and then they'll say something that's really impactful and really important.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great thing.
Yeah, totally. Good
call.
Yeah,
listening more than talking and being reliant on the Lord. I don't know, were there other things that you felt like were big takeaways?
We didn't really talk about this in the actual episode, but what were some things that really stood out to you about how Tim and Carla were with us?
Gosh, something I really loved about them is they weren't ever sucked into drama. They weren't ever, I don't want to say they weren't ever in a hurry, but, we also didn't have this expectation that they had to drop everything.
Right.
They didn't. And I love that. They were very calm. They were very steady. And I love that about them. It didn't matter what was going on. They were just calm and steady. And we didn't there was no crisis that was like, oh, drop everything and we got to get together and talk about this now. There's no trouble that I can think of that needs to be dealt with in the moment right now, that can't be triaged a little bit until we can get together.
In fact, and a lot of times that's not even the most healthy thing to drop everything and do it right now. Because if it's something that you feel like that's what you need to do, it's probably that the emotions are so high that actually wouldn't be that helpful.
So they protected their marriage in not being sucked into any drama, but also in not having this, we have to drop everything all the time and deal with your marriage issues. So they protected their marriage in that. So I love a lot of things about them. It always brought us back to the word. There were some things that I remember Carla saying that I thought she was a nut for saying some of those things, but it was always, in accordance with God, and it was true.
Are they totally putting you on the spot now? Are there any of those things you can remember that you'd be willing to share?
Right. So this was back when Nathan was actively in the affair. He knew I knew. We would talk about it. We still lived in the same house. It was really a weird time. And I was meeting with Carla pretty regularly. And Carla said, you need to stop trying to find information. You need to stop trying to figure out reading his emails or his texts or whatever. You need to stop. And I was like, no, that's craziness. I'm his wife and I should be knowing what's going on and knowing if this is a full-blown thing or, whatever. And she just said, God's ways are different than the world's ways. And you need to trust the Lord to bring out truth when it's time. And it's your digging and your sleuthing and all that sort of thing isn't necessary, and you shouldn't do it. Your husband needs to trust you. And I was like, what? He's so untrustworthy. He's the one doing all this. He needs to be found out. All that sort of thing. Not that I completely took her advice, because I tried to shut it down a lot, but there were definitely times where, my flesh came back and I was looking into things, but that rolled around in my head so much about God's ways are higher than my own ways. And he works on a different system than I do. And so I have to be able to trust the Lord. I have to be willing to trust the Lord, and I have to be trustworthy to my husband. And that was just radical to me.
Yeah. In the midst of all of that, worrying about your trustworthiness.
Yes.
That is a weird.
And she said, there's a verse in Proverbs that talks about a woman tearing down her house with her own hands. And I remember her saying, you will tear down your house with your own hands if you can't be trustworthy.
Wow. Sure that went over well in the moment.
I thought she was crazy. but I was willing to at least consider it and put that before the Lord and allow God to work on my heart in that way. Yeah. And like I said, I wasn't perfect with it. But I really did try it. I really did ask the Lord to give me strength to let that go.
It's great. Yeah. I will say, because that dovetails right into the thing that stands out to me with a huge strength of them as mentors, is that it didn't matter what was going on. It was always super clear to me they were only on one person's side, and that was God's. Mm-hmm. It didn't matter what horrible thing I had done. If you were doing something wrong, you were going to get called out on it. And it didn't matter how much improvement I made and how much I was turning my life around. If there was something I was doing wrong, I was going to get called out on that. And I think that is
play favorite.
It's so easy for us as couples that are mentoring another couple, whether it's somebody you met at your church or a family member or whatever, that you're sitting down with a close friend, to take sides, even if you don't mean to, even just mentally, right? To go, okay, well, let's talk to them both. We're not going to take sides, but can you believe what he did to her? Right? I mean, even putting those kinds of thoughts in your own head impacts, the way that you look at the situation and can clog up just being on God's side with regards to the marriage. And that was one thing, man, I was so inspired even by them at the time.
Yeah.
That the circumstances didn't matter to them. All that mattered was what's right before the Lord.
Right.
And that's not right to say the circumstances didn't matter, because they were very empathetic and particularly to what you were
but
going
they were
through.
Just consistent.
But it was just,
Regardless of
this is what is best for your marriage. We find it in the Bible. The Lord's very clear.
Yep.
That's what's best. And anything else, we're not compromising on any of that.
Yep.
And man, that was inspiring. And it really gave us hope. So if you want to give hope to a couple that you're speaking with, just being super clear on, man, here's what is the Lord's best for your life. Let's believe in that together. Man, that can give a lot of hope.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Yep.
Awesome. So go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so that's kind of a little bit about what we talked about on Monday, talked about this last Monday. So what did we talk about on Friday? So then on Friday,
and I threw the link to the audio only in the chat, so feel free to click that and save it to your playlist or give it a listen right now if you have time. But that was Monday. Friday, of course, Thursday, we celebrated Thanksgiving here in the United States, one of my favorite holidays. Because it's uniquely American, which I like. I know I'm a
Did you celebrate it when you lived in New Zealand?
Yep.
Thanksgiving? I mean, I'm sure you guys did, but do New Zealanders celebrate it?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Nope. No, now this is not to say that there are not other countries that celebrate something along the lines of Thanksgiving, right? There's Boxing Day, and there's a number.
I mean, I know that there's people who celebrate something kind of like it.
Right. So there are certainly a number of other countries that have done a Thanksgiving since then.
Mm-hmm.
But the fourth Thursday of every November, I mean, the history that we have of Thanksgiving is rich. It is uniquely American. It is very telling, I believe, of the founding of our country. Not the founders necessarily, but the founding mindset of our country, which was a recognition that at the end of the day, everything that we have is given by God, right, and it is our duty to thank Him for that. Right? I mean, you don't have to go very far in the Constitution to find, these things we find self-evident, right? That all men are created equally by the Creator and given these rights: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Right? I mean, that's in the very opening part of our Constitution, and it reflects a mentality that predates the Constitution significantly.
Sure.
And we spent a considerable amount of time in the beginning of the episode on Friday just talking about the history of Thanksgiving.
It was good that you gave.
Man, I would encourage you, even if you don't want to listen to the full, hour episode or whatever it is, listen to that first 20 or 25 minutes just to come to better understanding of what the history of Thanksgiving is and where we get that holiday from. And I put a link in the description there to a Wall Builders, David Barton, who's the founder of Wall Builders, an incredible historian, very, very proactive in recognizing the Christian roots of Thanksgiving, of this country. And so I put a link in there to a talk he gave on the Glenn Beck program where he talked about the history of Thanksgiving. So I'd love for you to check that out as well. Then the rest of the episode was talk about, of course, you can't think about Thanksgiving without thinking about Nebraska losing to Iowa.
I can think about Thanksgiving without that.
Well, but that's what happened as per the usual
these days. I didn't even know until now that Nebraska
days.
Lost to Iowa.
Yeah, they did, and it's sad. But anyway, that is not what you think about. What you think about is Black Friday. And Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, gave a little bit of history in that talk about where that title Black Friday comes from. There's a lot of misnomers out there about where it comes from. There's one very dangerous misnomer about where it came from. So check the podcast out for that, and I'll put the link to that here in a minute. But then we talked about just materialism in general, right? Where does materialism fall? What place does it have in the Christian home? Mm-hmm. Because certainly stuff is great, right? I mean, we've got lights and a microphone. We've got stuff, right? That hopefully we're using in a way that's honoring to the Lord, as well as the rest of this beautiful house that the Lord's blessed us with, and I'm sure has blessed you with as well. So it's not that stuff in and of itself is bad. The question is, where should that fall in the scope of our family? And you gave some really good biblical foundation for thinking about materialism. Do you remember kind of the paraphrase of some of the things you shared there?
No.
I
talked about kind of just money and wealth and what the Bible has to say about, how we categorize that, kind of how we, its purpose in our life.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the points we made in that episode is that we come up with a lot of fancy terms as human beings: materialism, addiction, all of these kinds of fancy words that we create that really can be summed up biblically in just one word: idolatry. Because anything that we allow to be a bigger priority in our lives than God, it's idolatry. I mean, that's what it is. And in fact, if you look at the prophets, the Lord uses a different word even than idolatry. He uses the term adultery. And he really considers anything that we look at as an idol to be an idolatrous affair that we're having on the Lord. And man, I hope that term hits home to you like it does to us, because we think a lot of times about how we think about money, and we can minimize it as do I maybe not have a totally biblical view on my resources and on recognizing that that's all given to me by God, or this house, or these things in my house that, do I maybe have a little bit unbiblical thought about that? Yeah, maybe. But when we go, try going to your spouse and being like, I maybe am having just a little bit of an affair. It's not like a huge affair. It's just like a little bit of an affair, and see how that goes. Right? I mean, that's what we need to recognize we're doing with the Lord when we allow the material things around us to take a higher place in our priorities than Him. And, so we talked quite a bit about that. And, really, the summary of it is, the stuff is okay. Right? There isn't anything wrong with enjoying nice things or having nice things. The question you got to be real with yourself and with your spouse and with your family is, where does the stuff and our pursuit of that stuff fall with regards to our relationship with the Lord? Is it a higher priority than our relationship with Him, or is it not? And really,
I think, sorry.
No, please go ahead.
Maybe a good way to think about that is, if I didn't have if this is all taken away, what then? How would I react to that? What would I think of God if that happened? If this was all taken away. So I think that's the way I think about it. Of course, if we lost everything, I would be really devastated, but I don't think that my faith in the Lord would be different.
It's great.
So it's okay to feel like that would be devastating, because it would be. But this life that we live is temporary. This is not our eternal. That's right.
And coming to that mindset is really a huge. That's a great place to start.
It's a shift. Yeah,
for sure. All right, babe. What do we have coming up next week?
So Monday we have Fifth Week Monday,
Fifth Monday Monday.
Fifth Monday. And so on fifth weeks, we do a top 5. So this Monday coming up is one of our top 5s, and it's top 5 things that you may not know about my spouse. So I did 5 things that I don't think that people generally know about Nathan.
Yep. And I did 5 things people generally don't know about Andrea.
Yep. It was super fun.
Yeah, it was fun. So if you want to learn some dirt on us, please check that out. That'll come out bright and early tomorrow morning, 5:00. But then, man, I would take this as a challenge too. I hope some of these things like this, I hope you get on and listen to it and laugh and realize what a quirky dude I am. And that's great. But then, man, I would encourage you, sit down with your spouse and talk about, if I were sharing with someone 5 things that I'll bet they don't know about you, what are the 5 things I would say, right? Even if you don't want to, publish it or tell other people, which is cool. Just sit down and give it to each other, right? You'll laugh.
Conversation starter.
Right.
Yeah.
It's great. And you may find out one of 2 things. You may realize, hey, this is really hard because we just tell pretty much everyone everything, which is fun because then those top 5s really can get challenging. But the other thing may be true too. You guys may go, well, man, this is super easy because I feel like nobody knows who we are. And you know what? Maybe if you have that conversation, it's time to talk about, hey, maybe we can get more plugged in with a group of people that we can allow to get to know us better.
Yeah, that's great.
Awesome. Last thing on the agenda for tonight, other than if you guys have any questions or thoughts. So the question I asked, I'm going to talk about Friday, but the question I asked in the video was, how was your Thanksgiving? So for the folks that are on, put down in the comments maybe a highlight of your Thanksgiving meal or your Thanksgiving celebration. Did you do remote? Did you get together as a family all in one place? What did your Thanksgiving look like?
What was your highlight?
Yeah, totally.
What was yours? No, I'm asking you.
You're asking me what my highlight was. It is not very often now. I'm the oldest of 5. And it seems like as my brothers have all gotten married and Christy's in South Dakota and she's got a great job that she's, just pursuing, what she's always dreamed of. Getting my whole family together in one spot all at the same time is increasingly difficult.
And we all got together.
Celebrated, got my grandparents who are in an assisted living facility, got them on the Alexa View or whatever it's called.
Whatever it is, yeah.
And got to have them be a part of it.
They live we live very close to Nathan's parents, and Nathan's grandparents live very close to us as well. We all live within like a 1 mile radius.
And one of my brothers
and one of his brothers lives in that radius too.
It's basically a compound is pretty much what we're going for.
It's awesome.
So if you want in on our compound, put that down in the comments. We'll get you the information.
Honestly. So we all live within like a mile radius of each other.
But then the other 3 do not live close.
Because they're not in Omaha.
Right.
So
they
got to move back and live in our compound. So anyway, we made, we had the Thanksgiving lunch. And my mother-in-law made up a plate for her parents and she delivered it to the assisted living. So they actually ate our meal with us, but it was just on Alexa. It was really kind of sweet.
It was great. It was a lot of fun. So yeah. What about you? What was your fave moment?
I don't know. I think just hanging out.
Seeing my sister-in-law.
Relaxing, acting all cool and all shooting stuff.
Nope, that didn't actually happen. Nope. We didn't shoot any
threw a
b-ball.
football around a little bit. But
we did.
Yeah, I don't know, just hanging out, I guess.
I have a sister-in-law, Laura, who is rather pregnant at this point, and she is the cutest doggone thing.
She is.
It was very sweet to get to see her, and that was precious. It was fun to see. So we're at this point, and if you've watched our channel at all, we have roughly 1 million children. But we're the only ones of my 5 siblings that have any kids, other than Jordan and Laura, who will be welcoming their first into the world.
Yeah.
At the end of this year.
Yep. On this, we're talking about children, and I shared this with Nathan earlier today. So my mom and I were on this little getaway together, right? And Nathan's and my 15-year anniversary is coming up this December. So we will have been married for 15 years, which is amazing. And I don't feel old enough to be married for 15 years.
Me either.
But that anniversary is coming up. And so I was talking a little bit about that. And I just had this epiphany. And I was like, you know what, Mom? I would have never thought that at my 15-year anniversary, we'd still be having babies.
Right.
Like, that seems ridiculous to have a 15-year wedding anniversary and we're still having babies. So, I don't know. That was just odd to me. I always thought people who've been married for 15 years are so old, and they are.
Yeah. You're older than me, but it's fine. Yeah, so Friday's episode. Here's what we got coming up for you on Friday. Friday, we are going to be releasing an article about
not an article,
a podcast about how do we reduce the stress level and expectations at Christmas while still creating memories.
Yeah.
So, we talk to people all the time who have families that go, man, I used to love the holiday season and now it's just so stressful. I just can't wait for it to be over.
Yeah.
And I think that's tragic. I love Thanksgiving. I already said that. I love Christmas, the whole holiday season and the carols and the music and, the lights and just everything that is Christmas. I love it. And it makes me so sad when people have grown to hate it because of how stressful it can become. But I get it. I mean, we've got one of those people. We've got both sets of families in town, and her family comes in from out of town, and my family comes in from out of town, and they seem to always be here at the same time. And so you want to run here, there, and everywhere.
And there's just all the memories too that you want to make.
Right.
And I was so I never realized. My mom said this weekend that she really felt stressed out sometimes because she felt like she had to make all the memories, And it was just a lot of pressure and go to all the parties and all that sort of thing. Sure. And it was a lot of pressure. And I never realized that. I loved Christmas time growing up and we had great Christmases and we did do a lot of Christmas stuff. And it was great.
Right.
But I never knew that she had some Christmases where she was like stressed out over just creating the memories and all that. And so, we'll talk a little bit about that. And it is good to have those traditions and the memories and the parties and the cookie decorating and all that sort of thing. But how do we still protect our rest?
Yep, totally.
The Christmas season.
Yep, totally. So we'd love to have you join us for that. That'll come out on Friday, first thing in the morning as well.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, gang, we'll be back with you a week from today, 8:30 for...
if you've got any questions about anything, our episodes from this last week or anything else, let us know.
That's right.
Type it in.
That's right. Totally. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments below. We'll get back to you. We answer everybody who's got a question, so please don't hesitate to put that in there. The 2 episodes are in the comments as well, so check those out from last week. Guys, don't forget to hop over to YouTube if you're a video person and you want to subscribe. Hit the subscribe right there on Marriage by Design page on YouTube and then hit the little bell icon. That will notify you when new videos come available. Otherwise, hop on to Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or Spotify, whichever those you love, and subscribe via those platforms as well. Or you can check out anchor.fm. That's the link that's in the comments below, and you can subscribe to us that way as well. Otherwise, guys, thanks so much for joining us. And remember, God is for your marriage.